Welcome to All Kinds. I'm Kaya.
And I'm Yehudis.
And today we're going to be talking about Kimo-NO, she better don't. With our legacy of history and colonization, when is it cultural appropriation or when is it just appreciation and celebration? Celebrities aren't the only one in the crosshairs. How do we navigate all the do's and don'ts while showing some love and respect?
Absolutely. And I would like to say on that note, we live on colonized land, but so do other countries that I don't feel are getting the same respect. Turkey has not yet, they colonized.
Most lands, I would say, unless you're Aboriginal, right?
So let's just get that out of the way.
No.
And, I think we're apologizing for it, which we should be, but, I'm not giving away my apartment.
Well, it's not even that. It's that a lot of things that we just wear even, obviously some are blatant examples. So the whole thing was this week, Adele showed some pride at her local Jamaican West Indian festival. She grew up in this neighborhood. And I know even us in Cotonou, they have a festival. But she wore a Jamaican flag like bikini and the little knots.
The Bantu knots.
Right. Now, here's the deal. The Jamaican community came to her rescue and said, hey, she's from here. She's celebrating. We're cool with it. This is appreciation, not appropriation. And I thought to myself, oh, darn, I've worn those knots.
I think it's the way that she's taking the photo. She does like a little insecure smile. She's not really
she's
owning
got her
the
new
look.
Yeah, this is a new look for her, though. You have to understand. Like she was
I
much...
guess. I don't
This is
care
her new
that
vibe.
much, but I think you have to put in context. We find out she's dating this black rapper. She's dating, and then
She's
all
from
of
the
a sudden-
neighborhood where they have this festival.
Right, but she never before really showed any type of appreciation.
So the community is saying that, she did appreciate Beyonce. She did a whole tribute to her.
Maybe overappreciated Beyonce.
Did she dress up in her...
No, but she's
look?
like, when she accepted an award, Beyonce, I think you're amazing. Like, don't do that either. Accept the award,
Well, she's in love with Beyonce. They should do a duet, actually. I would love to see that. No, but I was thinking about it because at one point, I, in the early 2000s, I would say, end of the 90s, I had bleach blonde long hair, and I guess we're going to call it skater chic. I don't know, but
Sorry,
keep in mind the year. Oh, no. Too much hair on that one. Okay, yeah, so I worked with these women, and they were all of African Canadian or African American heritage, and they said to me, we need to braid your hair. And I was like, you know what? I've never done that. I was the only white person there.
Absolutely.
So I said, you know what? Sure. Anyway, and they said they went easy on me. It was the most painful experience. They were like, no, girl, they're not that tight. They did the box braids. Think like Bo Derek, right?
But that's different as opposed to...
No, girl, I'm walking in the streets with these long braids.
I think what people have a problem with, especially, with people like Kim Kardashian or Kylie Jenner, they never actually give out the credit when credit's due. When you just said you got your hair done by black women that insisted, right?
Right, but you wouldn't know this on the street.
Right, but it doesn't matter. You could obviously, it was the way it was done, where when Kim Kardashian does braids, magazines will say, do the Kim Kardashian box braids. And she doesn't actually ever correct them.
Okay.
And, I think also the Kardashians, just because someone has black boyfriends or black husbands or, Jewish friends, they could still be anti-Semitic, racist. I personally always think Khloe Kardashian is racist because the way she treats her best friend Malika, she treats her like garbage. Don't forget with Jordan Woods, they treated like horrible.
Well, I know the internet seems to think they've been slowly morphing into African American women.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they have because, the spray tans, we like to get our spray tans, but their spray tans have been getting darker and darker and darker. And she does the baby hairs. White people, if we do have baby hairs, it's not as pronounced as black women's.
But when is it okay?
It's okay, but just be like, oh, I'm loving this style. Thanks, black women, for the baby hair pop. You know what I mean? Like something like that of that magnitude. And when you're an Adele or a Kim Kardashian, you got to give credit when credit's due. Now, if you're, like you, 8 years old, getting your braids done.
No, I was not 8. That's the thing.
How old were you? 16?
No, like 20.
So 20, it's not going to be a big deal. But we all know those women who... on the street. I'm not saying on film, but on the street who date black guys. I remember I saw on Reddit, there was the white girl dating a black guy starter kit, the thin eyebrows, gelled up hair. There is that type too.
So I always found that strange. So in my day, they used to have a term, they would call it a wigger, which is not a flattering term. And I remember one summer, I was about 15 here, and I'm very pale, guys. And I had a friend who was Moroccan, and she looked amazing. She was like 5'11", but she was very into crisscross at the time, and she had that whole look. We grew up in a neighborhood that was very multicultural called Colonization, and she was in the heart of it, living near the plaza. And she did date African Americans, and she invited me to something called a soca party. That was my first one. And oh no, I was 16. I remember this because I had gone to a Sweet 16 party, and I was, I guess, what you would call looking very Caucasian at the time in a little red dress.
We look very white. We are.
So she just gave me the address. She's like, it's some basement church in Cotonage, and I was like, whatever, right? Anyway, I show up and holy crap, I'm definitely, and everyone just thought she was Black. It's not that she wouldn't admit she wasn't Black. If you asked her, she would say, but she wore the hoops, the Nike gold. She had a Nike nose ring, actually.
Right.
Nike. And that was seen as, she was very in the culture, but she wasn't pretending. You know what I mean? Like, that's just who she was, and she was accepted, but I stood out.
That's just funny on the street. On the media, they make the racists seem so divided, but when you're actually in the streets, it's a totally different, right. They don't want to be treated like, oh, I'm a victim, or, oh, it's like Jews. Like, you'll never meet a Holocaust survivor who calls herself a victim. They'll be like, I'm a survivor. The victims are the one that's dead. Like, that's how it is on the street. And I think,
but I find a lot of the white girls feel like they have to be a wigger to get into the lifestyle.
This is the problem.
But you don't.
Especially in the media, when you have a rapper called Bad Baby. You guys might know her from the Dr. Phil, Catch Me Outside. How about that? She recently did some type of blackfishing where she looks completely black.
That's the term. Blackfishing.
And it's wrong. And that at that point, like the Rachel Dolezals and stuff.
Well, speaking of that, that was huge news today. There's a Rachel Dolezal 2.0.
And her name is something Jessica Krug. But you know what? She admitted that, I deserve to be canceled and all that.
She is saying that, but apparently she took a diversity hire. She was pooping on the other women of color and their ideas.
It's just not good, And I always say Jewish people we love when people appropriate ours because, when I see bagels, like in Vancouver, we have rosemary rock salt bagel and they're doing it with the brick oven. I'm like, oh my God, my culture, this is amazing. Do I care that a non-Jewish person owns it? No. Do Italians care that Domino's is making pizza and completely appropriated pizza? We all know that's not real pizza. No. There's certain things that are fine.
Like, I would be okay if someone broke the glass at their non-Jewish wedding.
Absolutely. We love that. Like, now we're seeing bagels and shops and everything. It's a whole,
and they use some words. People know what a schmuck means.
Right. When I hear someone say schmuck or schlep, or verklempt, I heard Wendy Williams once say it, and I said, oh my God.
Or even if they complain. Wendy. No, I'm kidding.
We love that. But there is a difference between Adele, who just honestly wanted to be, at the Jamaican, she grew up there, than a Kim Kardashian. Right.
But you know what, the thing that bothers me is I'm like, okay, so I think we all get it. We all appreciate it. But then again, some things are becoming too much. Like I was told recently, you can't wear hoops anymore. I'm like, hoops? No.
It's not true. That's just what Twitter, I like what Ricky Gervais says, that Twitter is sometimes a virtual bathroom wall. I mean, if you wear hoops, I wear hoops. I get my spray tan. I wear gold jewelry. It's not just black. It's also Moroccan. My husband's Moroccan Jew, so.
Gold jewelry has been around forever.
It's a Middle Eastern African thing. If anyone knows the history, Africa and Middle East are very close together.
That's right.
So, cultures collide.
Right. And that's what we're trying to say. So I want to say that, like, before you just make a judgment, it could be appreciation. And there's a lot of things. And I think, like you're saying, dividing it into camps is very bad because then you don't get new art. A lot of art today, music, theater, film, dance, whatever, it's a whole combination of all these things coming together. I mean, yes, we do know that like Elvis stole from the African-American communities.
That's obvious.
Very obvious. And then from jazz and all of that, we get that, and even rap, like people love Eminem, but there you go.
I think Eminem today wouldn't be even allowed to make the music because I remember Howard Stern had an interview with him. They're like, is that your real accent, the black accent? And if there was social media, he'd be clowning because the truth is he was appropriating, but he also grew up around them.
But he grew up in that's the thing. Like when I first, so it can go both ways. When I first came to Montreal, I was originally from, we're both originally from Brooklyn, New York. And I didn't realize at the time that I had a very thick accent. And I went to this public school and people started yelling at me. And I was like a tiny little, very pale girl. And they'd be like, you're not from Brooklyn. You're putting this on. I'm like, what am I putting on? And I started faking a Canadian accent. Apparently I was talking like this. They would make me say orange, coffee.
Yeah, and it goes, I went to public school too, and I remember, Black people that were, in my class, Haitian immigrants, first generation, and they would, make call NDG DG or Chattagay, Texas, and I'm sorry you're not in America. And I would say, I'm more gangster than you. I'm born in Brooklyn. And they all stood
They don't
back
like that. Nobody likes that.
because there is a different experience, I'm sure, of being Black in Canada or in America. I'm sure racism is still there.
No, there's racism here, but I don't think you can survive being Black in the U.S. Right. It sounds very scary these days.
Right. But, so it's a whole different thing. So
it's a very different thing.
Emulations happen, even if you're Black, Italian, whatever. Emulations happen around the world, especially now in our global world. I mean, literally, we have the world at our fingertips and we're fighting about this.
What's crazy is you're going to have, especially when you live in a multicultural, I think maybe in the States, there's not as many blended communities, but we're used to incorporating all the different fashions, all the different looks. And we're not thinking, oh, we're stealing. I like to think of it as we're celebrating.
Because we actually are. But we know people who legit steal, like a Kim Kardashian.
Right, but she's using it to profit. It's very trendy.
It's very different than for us.
The tastemakers.
Right.
Yeah.
Or for, just everyday people. Last year when we went out for your birthday, there was a rapper there and he goes, you three are the hottest white girls. Am I going to be? I was like, thank you, Well,
I decided to go to a Jamaican restaurant because, here in Vancouver, it's great. They have amazing seafood and everything. But I was new here and I was like, it would be great to try different foods here because I'm so used to, like in Montreal, there's so many different cultures. And here too, but you see a predominance of Asian food, which is delicious. But I was like, let's do something a little different.
And Jamaican food is delicious. Like it's known around the world for being delicious. So are we appropriating by going, no, they want our customer service. They know they're opening a Jamaican restaurant in Vancouver. They know what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I know here there's a lot of natives, and so they're very proud of the native art.
I'll have to be honest, I don't like native food. I've tried a few.
I've never tried it.
It's not for me. I feel bad saying that. I feel bad saying that too with the artwork. I want to like native art in Canada.
It's not your taste?
Not the totem poles, they're okay for me. They're not breathtaking for me.
Well, listen, that's the thing with art. You shouldn't feel bad. That's the reason
I want to love it. I mean, I respect their plight. I think, they signed a treaty, especially with the pipelines. Trudeau
nobody's forcing you to love their art. Right. And listen, they do beautiful art, but that's the point of art. It's open to many different tastes. Some people like I hate Picasso, for example. And then I saw an article years ago that said, oh, Picasso must have had migraines. And I'm like, that makes sense. I hate all his work.
He beat his women, apparently.
Oh, okay. With migraines.
So I hate Picasso,
he's
too.
more energetic than I thought. But, some people love Dali. Some people, there's different art styles. That's the traditional art. But there's also modern art. There's performance art. I mean,
especially in America, what gets Black people just every day, and that would get me too, is that a lot of people who love the Black culture, but when shit goes down, they don't speak out. Problem. So like Justin Bieber, for instance, all these people who've had Black influence and they don't speak out. And I think that's the real issue. When shit hits the fan, okay, that's great. You can love our skin. You can get bigger lips just like us, get a bigger booty just like us. But hey, when the good times are good, fine. But when the bad times are there, you're like, where are you?
Yeah, I think Madonna had that awkward moment early in the pandemic when she had her kid do a tribute.
Her Black adopted kid do a tribute by dancing.
Everyone's like, we need a little more than that, Madonna. Come on, Madge.
Right. And I actually saw on a news article once, there was a Black woman who goes to people's houses of white people who've adopted Black kids, and they'll teach them how to do hair. And a lot of these white couples said, it didn't even occur to me that her hair would be so different. And I think those are great things. Those are colliding things.
And they're good people who've adopted a child and they want to learn.
Absolutely.
They're open. I think that we have to calm down a bit because if we don't share and learn from each other, what I mean?
I think Adele's was permissible, but I still think Chloe, Kim, they got to own up to it.
Yeah, they're delighted with her. I mean, it's funny. Everyone tried to cancel her and they're like, no, she's invited to the cookout, which is the ultimate for that community.
Well, so is Billy Ray Cyrus, apparently, too.
I guess we got to start saying you're invited to the Seder.
Well, that is true. You know who's invited to the Seder?
Who?
Let me think about it.
I would have Adele at the Seder. She can wear her little Jamaican bra.
Who else
she might be cold.
Oh my gosh, speaking of Jew news, Amare Stoudemire, the NBA player, just converted, finished his conversion to Judaism. His new name is Yoshafat.
So he can come to the Seder.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm married now, so he is not allowed at my Seder.
You're the worst. You are the worst.
No, sorry, Yoshafat. You are not welcome at my Seder for selfish reasons.
Is he married?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. Stay away.
And I'm married.
I didn't even know you watch sports of any kind.
No, it's Times of Israel, girl.
Oh,
I keep
okay. That's how
myself-
you keep yourself, your heritage.
That's, I got to keep it going.
Anyway, let's take a break for a quick commercial.
Ooh, what's the commercial today?
Well, speaking of culture, it's about berets. Can't quite pull off a scarf? Have you lost your fascinator?
Of course.
Do you need a hat that's not really quite a hat? Covers a bit, but not too much. From military chic to a national symbol of the French, a beret can sit anywhere on your perch, tilted to the side, and eye roll at anyone who passes by while dangling a cigarette from your lip. For posh looks or downtown cool, a beret works for any season or mood.
And we're back. I love a good beret.
You know, I got one because they're very into football, soccer, the French. And when we were getting married, the French it had taken 20 years for them to be in the finals. And Bruno's like, this is a big deal. If they lose, it's going to be bad luck for our wedding.
The French always surrender, guys.
No, they were champion. We were celebrating like crazy. It's the middle of the day. You know what I mean? So I got a pink beret and wore one of those striped mariner shirts. I got to have the look if I'm going to sit there and watch the game.
This is beautiful.
It is great, but I don't find really purposes to wear it. And I have received beautiful scarves. My friend Tram gave me this gorgeous scarf, but I can never quite wear it. I always feel like it's too mature, even though I'm turning 40.
Well, speaking of, that is true, but speaking of also cultural appropriation, what about religious appropriation with Jerry Falwell Jr.?
Oh,
so,
my God.
If you guys don't
typical,
know,
though.
Jerry Falwell Jr., his dad is Jerry Falwell, who basically mobilized the evangelical vote to what it is today. So, they're a big voting bloc in the United States.
And they're responsible for Liberty University.
Right. So then Jerry Falwell Jr. is his son, and he's the head of Liberty University. So he's very religious, very pro-life, pro-everything, anti-gay, everything. And it recently came out that him and Becky have quite a kink. They're swingers, and...
No. He's a cuck. That's different.
Right. Wait. They basically had this pool boy have sex with his wife Becky while he watched.
Giancarlo.
Can you imagine? His name is Giancarlo.
I bet he wore a beret.
Do the accent again.
Giancarlo. Hola.
Becky is screwing him. And the worst part about it is, I wouldn't mind if that's your kink. Fine. You're allowed. But you can't be this moral toting guy while you're having a kink like that.
Oh, yeah. And it wasn't just Becky was having some fun. He liked to sit in a room in a corner, probably jerking off.
And he would be giggling. Giancarlo said, I can't do it as well.
Giancarlo.
So he said he'd be giggling. He was weirded out. I mean, you could tell he's not lying, this guy. And the worst part about it, Jerry Falwell blamed it on his wife.
Of course. It's the oldest trick in the book.
Which is just awful. But I love Becky. But, you can't talk about immorality, especially at a speech about immorality in marriages.
Right.
When you're doing that.
Right. And the thing is that's crazy is that this is an actual fetish. There's no reason to be ashamed.
Absolutely.
He's what, I don't know if I'm saying the word right, a cuck. It's when someone purposely there just to watch and be a voyeur. A lot of people are into this. There's a whole category on Pornhub, I'm sure, and any whatever.
It's cuckold, cuck.
Right. Is it cuck?
And what's really bad about this, it's always like when there's a pedophile in religious communities, it ruins it for the whole thing. Or, now they're going to... So it doesn't add to the Christian vote now. Because it's like, well, there's been a long lineage of preachers who have been, found like Ted Haggard with a prostitute and methamphetamines.
Well, here we go. It's the age-old adage of the lady doth protest too much. When someone's too concerned about what's going on in someone else's bedroom, that's the red flag right there.
It's a lot of projection. And the thing that he projected was, his marriage, his everything. Meanwhile, he's letting this pool boy, 21 years old at the time, fuck his wife, and he's watching. But then the next day he does a speech on, the values of marriage.
And you know what? This pool boy thing is just distracting from the first scandal that brought it out. There was a picture he posted first. I think she's the nanny or something. They both had their pants open with their underwear showing, just trying to show off how much like they had eaten. But there was obviously a familiarity between the two. You know what I mean? It's like a little bit of an Epstein vibe.
Boxers, yeah.
Yeah, but Epstein, she's like a younger girl, whatever. So who knows what's going on? The point is, we don't care what you're doing in your marriage, but he was the one passing judgment on everyone else. I don't think you can go to that university without taking some kind of pledge.
Absolutely.
Because he is who he is, he's getting away with a $10 million settlement. And this whole Becky shaming is ridiculous. Not only is she Becky with the good hair, I imagine, but she's Becky with the good sex.
Right. And I also think, too, especially growing up with religious fundamentalism, you can't we see it all the time where the biggest porn searches are always in places where sex is restricted, like Saudi Arabia, because they fetishize women and women's sexuality so much that they explode. I mean, that's why they have to cover up the women. They really will lunge at a woman because they're not even allowed to be in the presence of a woman.
And these poor men, because now what's happening is this, as women are feeling comfortable being themselves more and more, they have to be worried. We might lunge at them if you're looking too
Absolutely.
fine.
I mean, that's why I said,
you might have to cover up, mister.
Amare Stoudemire, you are not welcomed at my Seder.
Yeah.
I am a married woman.
Yeah, you might want to, I dropped my pencil. Can you pick that up? Someone's been working out, squatting with them glutes.
There is temptation. I mean, I am a married woman, Amare Stoudemire. Do not come at me.
Well, listen, I don't know if Amari's listening, but if you are, you heard it here, Amari. Well, who knows? He probably has set his eyes on somebody.
That is true.
Yeah, they're in the bubble there at the NBA, right?
Yeah, that is true.
Who knows what they're doing? But I just want to say that, we're cool if you appropriate from us and share and love. I'm going to continue wearing hoops, except they get too heavy after a while, so I got to get the cheap ones. True. But then they hurt my ears, so it's a never-ending battle.
Gold dangly hoops with hearts on them. On it.
Yeah. I think the little ones, they're okay with the caucasity of us wearing.
I do like a big hoop, though, sometimes. And you know what? If I'm appropriating, you know what? You can rant about me on Twitter.
And I will say to the white girls, if you do want to appropriate and get the box braids, they're very painful and you have to sit there for hours.
And they're called black box braids.
Box braids or the cornrows or whatever. But I will say this. I just want to say one last thing. When I got them, I was like, oh, my God, because it was summer. And I was walking down the street and it was very, very hot. And all of a sudden I was on to carry and this breeze blew and it just went right through my hair. It was like having an air conditioner on my head.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was like, this is why they do this.
Well, it's a protective hairstyle as well.
It's a cooling system.
I've always said I wanted a lace front wig.
Yeah, we know, girl. You've said it a couple times on the show. Okay. Well, guys, if you like what you hear for the end of season 1.
Oh, my God, season 1.
I know, we're concluding, girl. Look at us. Yeah, if you like what you hear, don't forget to check us out weekly on iTunes or on your preferred platform. Please give us a rating and subscribe to the show. You can give us the stars you think we deserve.
Come on, give us those stars. Check out our website, allkindspodcast.com. You can also hit us up on Twitter at allkindsweekly or on Instagram at allkindspodcast. We look forward to hearing from you, and maybe we can discuss it on our next show.
Thanks for listening.